employees joy of life. A lot of our employees wear these wristbands that say "Create Joy" on them. I love the fact that our mission statement was in our name. So that first hotel ended up being called the Phoenix Hotel. It's a funky rock and roll hotel. The neighborhood has not changed in 25 years. The Tenderloin is still the Tenderloin. But all these famous rock and rollers started staying there. And what it taught me very quickly was the first thing I learned about the boutique hotel business, which is it's not about you are what you eat, it's about you are where you sleep. So let me explain a little bit more about that. I think the marketing folks, you guys will appreciate this. Every time we create a hotel, a boutique hotel, and I'm very proud that there's nobody in the world who's created more boutique hotels than I have over the course of 25 years. 51 hotels, 51 boutique hotels over that period of time, overseeing the creation of them. But every time we create a hotel, it is based upon a magazine and 5 adjectives. And the reason we use magazines is because magazines and boutique hotels have something in common. They're very niche-oriented and very lifestyle-oriented. So that first hotel, the Phoenix, was based upon Rolling Stone magazine. And by the way, if you have questions along the way, I didn't say this earlier, if you have questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand. And you can, because we're not going to have time at the end, because we've got to go out to the barbecue. But so feel free to ask questions if you have questions. Phoenix Hotel was based upon Rolling Stone magazine. We knew it was going to be a rock and roll hotel. We came up with 5 adjectives that defined Rolling Stone magazine, which were funky, irreverent, adventurous, cool, and young at heart. And everything we did in creating that hotel had to come back to those 5 adjectives. The kind of style we gave to the rooms, the kind of art we chose, the kind of staff we hired funky, irreverent staff, the kind of uniforms they wore, because they were funky and irreverent, they didn't wear their uniforms. So that hotel really doesn't have any uniforms. Even the unique services and amenities we offered, it all came back to that. We thought that was the magic, and what we were doing, actually that was not the magic. It did create really cool and interesting, holistically, full personality hotels. We gotten a lot of awards for that. But what I learned that was really magical was the fact that the people who fell in love with the hotels were people who saw the hotel as a mirror for the aspirations for themselves. So those who loved the Phoenix were people who were funky, irreverent, adventurous, cool, and young at heart. And so by staying for 3 days in that habitat, it was like it rubbed off on them. And so I call this identity refreshment. I'm not in the hotel business. I'm in the identity refreshment business. What we do and what we started to organize around is how do we create an environment where people feel like it's their perfect habitat and that we've thought of things for them that fit their perfect identity, the identity that they want refreshed. Now, my mom is not funky or irreverent or cool or anything like that. So I realized after the first one, I was like, we have different niches of people in the population. So one of the next ones was the Hotel Rex in the Union Square area, based upon the New Yorker. Creative, artistic, sophisticated, literate, and worldly. The Hotel Avante was our first hotel down in the valley here. We have 6 hotels down in the valley here now. We're actually opening a hotel in downtown Palo Alto next year called the Epiphany, which I'm really excited about. The Avante was the first one in Mountain View, based upon Wired magazine. Smart, techie, visionary, iconoclastic, and one other word. Fill in the blank. And then finally the Hotel Vitale, which was our first our first luxury hotel in San Francisco. It was built about 7.5 years ago. It's on the Embarcadero, right across from the ferry building. We thought that there was a customer out there who was what I would call post-W, pre-Four Seasons. Is that you? Yeah, so raise your hand if that's you. They don't want to walk through the sort of like you have to wear black to go through the lobby and, kind of experience. But they're not really ready for that old school kind of formal, upscale, uptight kind of luxury hotel. There's a lot of people who fit that profile. We call them bourgeois bohemians, or bobos for short. So if you like the Vitale, you're a bobo. And that was Dwell meets Real Simple. The 5 adjectives were modern, urbane, fresh, natural, and nurturing. That hotel has been off the charts, by far the most successful luxury hotel in San Francisco since it opened, with an average occupancy last year of 90%, whereas its competitors, which is the St. Regis, the Mandarin, the Four Seasons, the Ritz, the W, 76%. So and comparable rates. So what we were starting to realize is we were connecting with our customers on a psychographic basis as opposed to a demographic basis. We were connecting with them on a more personal, a more sort of how they saw themselves basis. So by year 2000, we had 20 hotels all around the Bay Area. We were the largest hotelier in the Bay Area. And in year 2000, that was something to be proud of because we were really still in the dot-com boom during that time. The way we grew was based upon this. We've studied Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines has a heart in their logo, but they hadn't actually put their business plan in the form of a logo. But if you were to define Southwest Airlines' business plan, it's this. In 1997, we had 2 Southwest Airlines executives come and talk at our senior executive retreat with 35 of us. And what they taught us was something that I learned. One of the few things I remember from Stanford Business School is these Harvard Business School professors had created something called the service profit chain. And it's a theory that's from the early 1980s. And it's if you create a great culture, point number 1 on the heart, it leads to employees who are enthusiastic. And if you're in a service business, having enthusiastic employees really valuable because the customer experience usually is better, so you have more loyal customers. If you have more loyal customers, you are building and growing market share, and therefore you're more likely to have a profitable and sustainable business. And then you can invest back in culture. Number 1, it's a virtuous circle. I call it karmic capitalism. What goes around comes around. And I believe that's really a truism in business. You sometimes have to wait a little bit longer to have the come around piece to work on people. But it's been a part of how we grew the company, and every single one of our now 5,000 employees in the company learns the Joie de Vivre heart when they join the company. Early 2001, we as a company should have been flying high. I should have been flying high. I wrote a book called The Rebel Rules. Richard Branson wrote the foreword of the book. But it was in early 2001 when it started to become very painfully clear that we were going to go through a very difficult time. And we did. And as did everybody, including Cisco. It was a very difficult time in 2001. That dot-com boom became a bust. And in our industry, the hotel industry, then we had 9/11. And after 9/11, nobody wanted to jump on a plane. And after 9/11, we became Fortress America. We made it really, really hard for people from outside the U.S. to come visit the U.S. So that was hard, particularly hard for international destinations like the Bay Area, San Francisco, and the Valley. We had SARS. SARS meant Asian travel dropped by 80 to 90%. The number 1 location that Asians travel to in the U.S., the Bay Area. What else? We had a war with the Afghanis. We had a recession. We had a war with the Iraqis and a war with the French. Remember we had the war with the French? Right? Remember, what did we stop eating? Well, actually, we didn't stop. We'll never stop eating French fries, right? No. We called them freedom fries. And we started boycotting French companies. Well, we didn't in the Bay, I don't think here. Maybe in Los Gatos they did. But maybe they did there. But most of us didn't. But I started getting emails from Alabama and Los Gatos and saying, we are boycotting you Frenchy Joie de Vivre people. And I would write them back, wait a minute, we're a United States American company. We're based in San Francisco. And I'd get this terse email back saying, San Francisco, ? Oh, that's worse. Cisco kid was a friend of mine. So basically we were in a lot of trouble. And I went from being the guy on the left to the guy on the right because between 2001 and 2006, the Bay Area hotel industry saw the largest percentage drop in the history of American hotels for revenue since World War II. The only other time it's happened is during natural disasters. So take natural disasters aside, like Katrina from New Orleans. No region ever saw what we saw. And all of our hotels were in this region. We had all of our hotels in the bad region. We were also in trouble because of something called disruptive innovation. You are all familiar with disruptive innovation. I got in the hotel business because I didn't want to be disruptively innovative. Like, who's gonna do a disruptive innovation in the hotel business? I mean, well, they have this, Airbnb, B2B, and whatever you call those people. They're doing a disruptive innovation. But these guys disruptively innovated us. How many in the room have never used one of these guys for your travel planning? Like, there's 1, 2, 3. Thank you. 3 of you. Yes. Well, of course we know when the internet gets involved, prices come down. And this is not exactly the best way to choose a boutique hotel because it's a little bit more of a commoditized approach. But the other thing you don't know, probably, is that we have to pay a commission to Expedia. So if you book on Expedia, What percentage commission do you think we have to pay Expedia? 5%? 10%? How much you said? 3%? We're not going to let you negotiate for the company. But you can negotiate for my company. Right? Who else? Higher. 25%.